Welcome to Sith Talk, brought to you by Gattacara and Lanyard, bringing you news from Star Wars The Old Republic and beyond. Join us now as we explore the universe and take down the Republic in a galaxy not so far away.
Hey guys, it's Lanny. You're going to hear the podcast here in a second, but I just wanted to give you some heads up before I start getting nasty little notes. My computer went down and I had to reset everything. I had to restart the entire computer. So when I got everything going for the podcast, I thought that I had everything set up right. Apparently I did not. It didn't record anything, and then what little it did record, I didn't have set up. So anyways, wanted to give you a heads up. However, we are going to have the new PTS Terror from Beyond playing in the background with our audio over the top. So sorry about that. Hopefully I'll have my shit together next week. In the meantime, enjoy the podcast.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of your favorite podcast. Maybe not your favorite podcast, but at least second or third. This week we have a little information. Of course, they launched the 1.4 patch onto the PTS. They're testing out their super high population servers, as well as dropping in patch notes for the game in and of itself. Of course, we have to start off every episode with a shout out for Awww. This week I actually picked up 2 books, but the big promotion is going to have to go towards Contagious by Scott Sigler. This was a free Podio book, but being the fact that Scott has brought me so many hours of entertainment with that book, I've actually went ahead and bought the full book from Podomatic. Of course, I had some tokens available, so it was completely free with my monthly service. Remember, if you sign up for Podomatic, you get 30 days to a 30-day free trial. You get a free book, and if you decide to show up and go ahead and do it full time for as little as $15 a month, you can get 1 free book, discounts and notifications on sales of all the books that they have on their system, and that's at Sith Talk. audibletrial.com/Sith Talk. Almost gave you the URL to our Podomatic site. Yeah. It's 6 months, 7 months of doing this. I still haven't gotten that damn pitch right. But, as far as Contagious goes, it's probably one of the greatest, it's part of one of the greatest series I've ever enjoyed by a writer. It's read by him, it's written by him, it's produced by him, and it's just a phenomenal series of aliens and psycho. Oh, fucking so much fun to read. I was actually listening to it almost all yesterday when I was listening to when I was trying to level Nolani last night while I was checking out the High Pop server. Just fantastic book. Definitely get infected first and then get Contagious. But nonetheless, if you want a book that's really going to get you excited and really enjoy it, definitely Contagious is your way to go.
I got infected. I listened to Infected. I enjoyed it. I just recently was trying to decide whether I wanted to get the next Star SWTOR book. Had to do with the rat ghouls. I don't remember which one that was.
I did get Red Reaper.
Was it Red Reaper? It wasn't Red Reaper. Red Reaper's the instance. Remember, we got corrected that on.
Fuck. Red Harvest.
Harvest. That's the one. I couldn't decide if I was going to get Red Harvest or if I wanted to get World War Z. Kevin suggested World War Z, and of course Red Harvest is SWTOR. I went with World War Z. Pretty interesting, a little dry, but it was very nice. Very good book. So that was the book that I just recently finished up.
Yeah, I got that one off BitTorrent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to hear it, and everything I found was either abridged, and I wanted the unabridged version of the audiobook.
Yeah.
Because though it does have its dry times, once you get into the unabridged version of it, it is phenomenal.
Yeah, I ended up with the abridged. I couldn't find anything that was not unabridged.
Yeah, that's why I did what I did, whether it was bad or not.
Still pretty good book. It was interesting on how he went through and the aftermath and how they went through and got rid of all the zombie issues.
Well, since this isn't the book review show, this is the Sith Talk show, we'll move along a little bit. As far as housekeeping goes, we had some great responses from the guys over on YouTube this week, so I want to thank everyone who watches us on YouTube. We're going to try to put a little bit more game footage into the shows from time to time. As everybody on our Facebook page knows, Lanyard's computer completely died. So any video featured in today's episode, which I believe Lanyard is running in the background.
Not yet. I will start it here in a little bit.
Which will be running in the background then, is actually from our buddy Joe Hagan, or Brutus the Loremonger. He and a group of pugs did the story mode on the new raid, and he said, I'm going to get an interview with him next week, or for next week's show, so I can see what his real impressions are of it. Watch the video in full. Really decent communication. He said he actually edited out a lot of the wipes, so they did have a little bit of work to do on that, so that's good. But as far as our guys go on YouTube, Mr. Dillon says, great show as always. Just finished my book, finished my story on my Jedi Knight this week, and now I have been working on my dailies and his brother, the Inquisitor. Mr. Builder, 1983, says, awesome show, guys. Let's talk about how there still isn't any paid server transfers yet. How long do I have to wait before I can consolidate my characters to one server? Ironically, that'll be part of a later discussion. Imbus says, great episode, guys. Keep it up. We watch you all over from Cyprus, so across the sea there. And then, of course, Star Wars Freak, which we also know by a different name in game, says he got his operative to 50 this weekend, almost full Battlemaster, and healing PvP is so fun. 50 number 4. Keep up the great podcast. So once again, listening to us while he's leveling up, which is pretty much what my wife does, and of course I listen to my audiobook. So having Audible as a sponsor has improved my usage of audiobooks, but by and large, I'm lazy and I'm a slow reader, so having someone read the book to me works out really well. And it's great to see that people are listening to us, no matter what their reasoning or why or when they're doing it. So let's see. We don't have any new reviews on iTunes. However, we are up to 81 likes on Facebook, which puts us squarely 19 away from giving away a time card. Come on, guys, let's make this happen before they go free to play, so it's not just a little extra bump for you to be able to do more PvP. Let's make it so that you get 2 months of free Star Wars as opposed to 2 months of adjusted Star Wars. No new Twitter followers. We're up to 15 iTunes reviews. Unfortunately, I've read all of those reviews. I'd like to see us hit 25 or 30. If we can hit 30, I'll think of another giveaway to see how we can see what I can do for that. Whether it's one of our books from Audible or something else. Once again, that's a giveaway that's kind of up in the ether. Mm-hmm. So if we can get up to about 30 reviews, it'll call a little bit more attention to us on iTunes and help us give more back to you guys by seeing a little bit more throughput. Other than that, I think we're good. Brutus, you'll probably hear this before you see the message on Skype. Brutus had a new episode for us, but in the rush to get me the video, unfortunately, he pulled his audios before I could get a copy of that file, which was unfortunate. But we do have a new episode of the Galactic Librarian for you guys this week, so we'll be featuring that somewhere between now and the news. I heard shit. Why did I hear shit?
I didn't put that in yet, but that's all right.
Oh, shit. Well, hopefully Lanyard will be able to get that adjusted between now and then. Now, I will say, guys, I forgot to rib Lanyard. If you're a loyal YouTube subscriber, you may have noticed that one of our videos had posted about 2 episodes ago with absolutely no audio. And I forgot to give Lanyard shit about that. It was definitely a what the fuck moment because I saw it come through and I went to watch it and I'm going, why do I see my lips moving but I hear nothing? And a couple of posters got onto that pretty quickly and said, "Ooh, now if only I could develop the talent to read lips."
Yeah. I saw that and quickly fixed it. So.
But well, that's all we got for housekeeping. Lanny, how was your week?
Well, other than my computer completely just tweaking out on me, freaking out on me, and which is why you guys are seeing a different background for us, which is kind of nice because I like to change it up once in a while, as you know, and I actually kind of like this setup. Please give me back reviews if you don't like it, if you like it, if you like the change, whatever, you know. We've got. So I've got, I know Dat isn't going to see it yet, but we've still got me and him in the screen. We've got our sponsors running down here below me. We've got the Awww sponsor over there below. I'll figure this out eventually. Below Dat, yeah. And then we've got our special screen for any in-game stuff that we have running is right between us. That's kind of highlighted very nicely. Throughout the show, you'll see the new newsreel. I lost the in-game news of the news people, so I don't have that anymore. But I do have a screenshot of the news guy. So his mouth's not going to move with. It's not going to move with the words. But I'm going to fix that later. We got that. I set up a new thing for Sudos section. Not real impressed with it. I'm going to probably change that later on in the week, but for this episode it's there, and I'm going to have to put her audio in when we switch to it. And I even got Brutus set up with a nice little section of his own. So, yeah, so that's what I did for the first couple days after I got the computer back up and running. The good thing about it, though, is if you guys were following on my personal YouTube channel, and I know Dat knows this and Kevin knows this, but I was having problems with my really favorited video editing software. It wasn't working, it wouldn't load, and I tried everything from cussing everybody out and everything. And the good thing is the computer wiped, and now it's working. So, hey. So, which is why the newsreel will have a fancy newsreel and everything else. And I was able to, the intro that you guys saw, I was actually able to green screen stuff in. So it actually is going to be really nice. And there, if you're watching the YouTube and you're watching the Terror from Beyond on the PTS right here in the middle between me and Dat, you will see some fancy transitions. So watch for those. Yeah. And so, but as far as game-wise, I got 2 days worth of play, which was about 4 hours-ish, so 8 hours combined. Yeah, not that much. I got Zuzu up to 34. It's just starting to slow down with her. It's just like, come on, you know. Basically, it's the reason why it's mostly slowing down is I've done these fucking planets 3 times already, and I'm just tired of doing the same stupid shit. And I've gotten up to the storyline part where as far as I can go by myself, and you know, so I'm at the storyline section of 38, and I'm only 34, so I'm not able to get them down by myself. So I did do a couple of instances, did Katamimu a couple times, did just got Red Reaper and Boarding Party. So I've done one of those 2. I haven't done Red Reaper yet. I got Boarding Party. I haven't done Red Reaper yet. So I got those out of the way. Bunch of PvP. I'm loving the PvP with her now because she's straight up lightning. And now that I've figured it out, before the 1.4 drops, I got to do as much PvP as I can because they're gonna fuck everything up. And she's gonna become pretty much, you know, fucking useless. So unless she's carrying the hut ball, woo! That's the only thing I can do. So let's see, what else did I do? Oh, last night Kiwi wanted to do some raiding, so I was like, okay, cool. Let me know when you're gonna go raid, and I want to jump on Landray because he really needs some gear. So you know, He says, "Hey, Dat, you want to go?" Dat had some wife aggro, couldn't go, and he jumps into EC, and I'm like, "Hey, bud, I can't do EC on Landray. I wanted to run." He's like, "Oh, it'll be quick. We're gonna fail. I'll be out of it." He never came out of it. So I spent 2 hours on Landray doing professions and dipping off, and I was like, "Okay, well, that was a complete waste of 2 hours." So that was it. Trying to think if there was anything else that I did. I did go on the PTS. I was going to try to get into this new raid, but I never could get into a group, and I really wanted to do something. The PTS is nice. It's kind of cool to check out the stuff, but when you're trying to actually put stuff, get your tunes geared and your tunes leveled, and you have a limited amount of time, it's like, why am I on the PTS getting these people geared up? I can't use them unless the PTS is up. So I just didn't fart with it. And I've got 3 lanyards over there. It's like, that's it. That was my week. Nice, short, and sweet. What'd you do?
My week was neither short nor sweet nor any of the above. As some of the viewers will notice, and no one in audio land will ever notice, I don't appear to be wearing a headset. I'm utilizing my marshmallow earpieces because the headset that I had on in the last episode fucking cracked.
It's that fat head of yours.
Yeah, probably. It was a fairly inexpensive headset that I had gotten when I ordered my delightful snowball microphone. But, it finally broke, so I had to order my new one. Our Facebook fans will notice that I posted the Razer headset I got so that I can have a second Razer device. I finally got my fucking video card off. Yeah, fuck you. You probably don't even use half those buttons on that mouse.
Well, the top 3 are so gummed up they don't work anymore. But I do use the rest of it, though. I can't clean the damn thing. I can't get it to clean. I can clean around the buttons, but it's gunk inside, and you can't tear the thing apart. Go ahead.
But I did finally get my video card off, and it's actually sitting at EVGA waiting for them to open up on Monday. So hopefully I'll be able to get my video card up and do some how-to videos and post those to our Sith Talk site for YouTube. I did a fair amount, I'd say, of PvP. I actually got a whisper yesterday, which was kind of creepy for me, as I'm my trooper Nolani, and I got a random whisper from a guy who said, "Hey, if you're looking for a good guild, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Well, I'm actually in a guild on this side." I said, "I'm in Boulder Dash, and I'm a representative of the Sith Talk podcast." And he goes, "Oh, Boulder Dash, yeah, I've fucking seen you guys everywhere. You guys fucking you guys are fucking awesome in PvP." Right. And really we are. I'm not, and that's not even tooting my horn. I'll have to be honest. When I get my wife on her healer, and I get myself, and I do a lot of PvP with Kiwi on his various tunes. We get in there with Jackson. I guard Jackson. Nolani gets ass tons of credit for taking and reducing damage on him. Sudos, the wife's able to heal him on her Myrlinian, Sage, and we just fucking steamroll shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's putting that shield on him is like, I don't know, fucking safeguarding a goddamn bulldozer. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he and I will storm doors, and there was a bombing run that we did recently that we actually were trading doors. He actually rushed one. He got the first one. I got the second bomb, and it was a lose-lose scenario because the other team steamrolled our asses. It wasn't even funny how fast they got to the doors. I think they had like a minute 30 left when they finally popped the last door and grabbed the core. But up until literally the last few minutes of that run, it looked like we were coming back from behind.
Really? Well, I know that when I was running with you guys with Suiza, when it was us 4, me, you, Kiwi, and Sudo, we were the top 4 damage, top 4 heals, top 4 medals, top 4 MVPs. Everything. And, we just, I don't know what it was, but us 4, we had the right amount. We had a trooper. You had your trooper that was set up differently. What the hell is that name? Michaela? What is Sudo's? Anyways.
Malachi.
Malachi.
Malachi is her sage.
Right, Sage, and then we had Kiwi's Jackson. And it just seemed to click every time.
I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of coordination between the four of us. We're in vent, we're shooting
on
shit.
Vent. We're
able to communicate everything, and that does generally help. But each one of us has a certain amount of screen awareness that we're trying to let each other know what's going on around us, which you can't really do in a non-voice chat system. Right. But the fact that even if there's just the two of us, just me and Kiwi, no healers, the healers that are in the regular pug group from the run anyway, but we have a certain tactic. We always have a method to our madness as we're going in. I mean, and it doesn't matter what we play. When we were doing hut ball, Kiwi and I were trying to keep near each other so that I could keep my shielding up on him. We were constantly trying to run the ball in, either that or guarding the center so that we were able to get to the ball. That helped lead us to a hut ball win. We were able to storm the doors on the bombing run. When we went to Novara Coast, he and I held down east practically by ourselves because we were constantly there. We did eventually switch from east to south, but it was just nonstop, man. And it's great. It reminds me, and Kevin and some of my old Guardians of Silver Moon fans friends from WoW will remember. We had a presence in the community, and it was a combination. At that point, we had been around for so long. And people saw us everywhere. They knew we were always running raids, or we were, some of our group were always in PvP. And I'm starting to get that feeling again with Balderdash.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only really 4 or 5 of us that are constantly active. I don't want to nominalize Jubu or Adelaide's. I know that, or Dallas, Aldis, whatever. Aldes. I'm sorry, dude. I apologize. I can't fucking pronounce a fan's in-game.
Aldez or something like that.
But, we're always in PvP, and when people see us, they know that we're going to getting it done. The friends that we've made through pugging the hard modes, they're adding us. And that's what I loved. When I was in WoW, it was the fact that I had a presence, and there was like, oh, dude, you're on. What's up? Let's go do some shit. And that's starting to pick up now. And granted, the server population isn't 1,000 people on Fleet or 1,000 people on any given planet. It has went back down to, maybe 200 to 500 people on each on Fleet, or 150, 200 people on a planet, which kind of does suck. I won't lie. But let's face it, when they did the condensation of the servers, everybody immediately logged on, and there was a little bit of backlash from that. But getting that tell from that guy really. It made me feel so fucking good because I haven't had that kind of feeling since I was in since I played WoW.
Yeah,
I hadn't had someone that was like, "Oh, dude, you want to come join our guild?" Or we PvP, or we see you and you're fucking great, or you're doing really good. Your guys are business. That's awesome. Shit like that. It's so nice to be able to have that feeling in the community, no matter how large or small that the Star Wars community is on our server. But. In other news, of course, I got Nolani to 47 as of today. I did it PvPing with Jackson, oddly enough, but I'm about halfway into her storyline on Corellia, and she's still only 47.
It's not bad though. That's good. If you're doing just storyline, that's about where you should be.
Yeah, I'm sticking to storyline, PvP, and flashpoints. I don't do anything outside of that 3. If I feel things are getting a little tough, I PvP or I flashpoint until my next level, things like that. I did run into a few bad groups, but I didn't get anybody's name with the flashpoints this week. Some of them pissed me off so bad, or I was so drunk I couldn't fucking remember what their names were, which has been a heavy tone this weekend. But, one of the things that I did see that pissed me off in flashpoints is, when you're leveling up, skipping mobs isn't always helpful. I don't know why. Your big thing, of course, is skirting mobs in any run because someone's liable to pull them away, on the event of a wipe, or shit just happens and someone pulls when they're coming in. You lose a player or whatnot.
Sometimes it's just faster to fucking kill them than it is trying to skirt them.
Yeah, and what is it? It's the Colorcoid Wars, I want to say, was one of them that I ran this past week. And a lot of people are skirting mobs or using knockbacks to knock the mobs off. And knockbacks, if the XP hits, then that's fine. It doesn't really matter. It makes it a little bit quicker. But But my biggest problem is the attitudes like, oh, you didn't have to drag him or you didn't have to pull him. You know, dude, fuck. It's a mob. If you're leveling up, the best thing you can do in an instance is to fight everything or at least kill everything or do something in relevance to making it die and getting the XP.
Bonuses.
I'm trying to fucking level. That's the whole point. Now, when I get to 50 and we're running hard modes and shit, if we can skirt some shit without having to worry about pulling it later or we can knock something off real quick, dude, by all fucking means, do it. You know, but this shit was retarded.
Yeah.
And I want to say I finally got up to the point that I can run Red Reaper. And you'll have to help me out with this, Landy. The last boss in that one, I think, if I'm remembering it correctly, it's a Sith Lord, and he spawns ants from time to time. You have to run behind and put the lightning behind the guy just so that you can kill the adepts. Okay. Yes. So I got into that one. Now here's the fun thing. Our healer left. We have no clue why he left. He just fucking left group. He kept having offline issues. I've seen a lot of crashes ever since I've been running with the onboard. Was it the ATI? It's the
ATI.
I'm running a Radeon onboard processor for my graphics right now.
AMD.
Yeah, AMD. Well, AMD owns them now. It was ATI, but nothing. Just ridiculous amount of knockoff game crashing since I stopped using NVIDIA. So if you have a Radeon card and I'm full of shit, tell me. Maybe it's just the fact that it's on board and it's just not handling shit. But this dude kept crashing, and at what we ended up deciding about halfway through the run, where you have to change the color crystals, about halfway through the run, I pulled my my healing companion on my Lorna Dorn. Is that on the trooper? I want to say it's Lorna Dorn.
Yes, Lorna.
Okay.
Yes.
Hot damn! God,
I don't have. I used to have my list of companions out, but I don't have that shit out anymore. But yes.
But she's got enough gear that she was able to keep us healed most of the fights.
Nice.
But when we got to the last boss, it caused an issue where the lightning would bug because the game's not programmed to be targeting an NPC. It's meant to be targeting a real player, and so I had to actually dismiss Lorna. Because she would get the lightning and I would call her to me by, pulling her off aggressive and putting her on passive. But the problem was the lightning just never hit the adept. So we had like 6 or 7 attempts before we finally got a real healer.
Well,
we got a DPS because one of the DPS in our group was a trooper like you are. What's your trooper? Your trooper's
Commando. No.
Commando. Well, he was a commando, but of course, like you say, when you're not a healer and you're trying to play heals, you only got 2 or 3 heals to go with, and they're pretty shitty.
And they're wimpy, yeah.
Excuse me. And so he tried healing, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And we were tired of the boss bugging, so we just said, fuck it. Well, then we tried healing with him, and we got this 50 who was trying to do his daily, and apparently he didn't remember that the boss has a knockback. And where I was taking him... He stood on the wrong side and he kept getting knocked off. So of course one of the guys, the commando in my group, he's talking about it was put up a vote kick, too stupid for 50.
Amen.
And the guy's like, really, and just left group, and I'm like, oh god damn it, So we get another healer in, and finally we get it down. But it took a long while. I mean, we must have spent 30, 40 minutes on that last boss just trying to get it done.
Well, that's the problem. We did I did Katamimu with 3 other noobs. I mean, noobs. Yeah. This is my first time ever playing this game. Oh, okay, well, and then explain each fight. Now, granted, you'd explain the fight, and so they've played MMOs before, so they got what you're talking about, CCs and all this other shit. But it was just like, it got to be so annoying with some of the wipes. So I was like, you guys, you know what? I hate to be one of those jackasses.
I hate to be that guy.
Yeah, but it's just like we've been in Katamimu now for 2 hours. It's like you gotta get out. This isn't gonna happen. You guys are doing fine, but it's just. Obviously, you're just not getting this, so it's like I gotta go. But yeah. But
don't get me wrong, the runs were fun. It got really aggravating because Lorna was actually keeping up heals, which was really freaky as shit. Because this is my comp, it's not meant to know who to heal or who to heal when, but she's dropping the AOE heals like she needed to. She was keeping we did have a shadow in, one of the Jedi shadows, and that guy was getting beaten hard.
Yeah.
For reasons I can't even understand. Although apparently, about the 6th run, I realized you can interrupt the crushing darkness that the guy casts. Although my cooldown on it was really shitty, so I didn't get to interrupt it every time. But we ended up getting it down, and the one guy was just flipping his wig. It was actually pretty funny after a while. But outside of that, I logged on to the PTS. There's still little to nobody on the PTS, which is kind of frustrating. I'd really like to see more people there. They're also doing the beta for the High Pop server, which is to kind of address the YouTube comment. With the High Pop server, dude, they condensed every character I've ever made, or every character that I've made so far, onto one server.
Yep.
Like, they just automatically pulled the guys from Fat Man, the ones from Jonah Paul, just all of them. Yep. And it was kind of fucked up because I wasn't expecting it. Worse yet, because on the High Pop server, they're taking into account every account's names.
Yep.
I had to change about 6 of my characters' names to be on that server.
Well, at least
and that's just a beta test. Yeah.
But that's going to suck, though, when they release that.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering at this point if that test server is our next evolution.
Yeah, it is. I really think that they're just going to go ahead and mash all. Now, whether they mash all PvE together and PvP together and mash RPGs, like having like 4 different servers, RPG.
What is
PvE,
it? It ended up being. Would that be the no? Well, there's RP, PvP, RP, PvE, and then PvP.
Right. So
is that just 4?
4 PvE. Okay, wait. We got PvE.
I thought there were 5 server types.
PvE, PvP, RP, PvP, RP, PvE. So yeah, it's only 4. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to mash all 4 not all 4 together, but all have 4 separate servers.
Right.
And then mash all of them into those 4. And if they if they do it right, because of the limited, because it's a 24-hour game, if they do it right, they'll just mash all the English-speaking Europeans and Oceanics together too, because that would be great, because the Oceanics get on at midnight my time. Mm-hmm. That's perfect for most people that don't work late and are on at midnight. Europeans will have someone to play with during the day. So, I mean, other than the French-speaking and the German-speaking servers, obviously, unless they, are English-talking, it's going to be a bitch. But, if they just mash all the English-speakings together, I don't see why that wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I hate to bring up other games, but Eve does that. Eve has all one server. So,
but see, the problem is that when you look at a game like what we're doing now, when they go from the server base like they had, 75 servers. They go down to the 15 that survived, 15 or so that survived, and then they mash the remaining ones, PvE or PvP or whatever, into one. I think that causes for a massive, not a problem for those of us who've been playing, but it does kind of send out the wrong message to the people who are getting into the game. The more you condense these servers, regardless of whether or not you want to cover it with the idea of it being, new technology or a program that'll run it even better, to mash them into one server, I think
it does give
customer base. It does get
it gives you a wrong impression. But there are a lot of games out there that only have the main servers, but they started out that way, so that kind of is already that way. So yeah, I can see where that would give you the wrong impression. I personally, I like this idea because
whatever gets us more players,
right? Because I really do like this idea of mashing just all of them in together. It just makes more. And I don't. They never said anything about moving the Europeans in, so don't get me wrong on that. But I really think that would be a great idea too, because that would give you a better population 24 hours a day for all the people that play at goofy freaking hours. I mean, like you don't normally log on until I'm either I'm heading to bed and I say good night, Dad, as you log in. Kevin didn't play until 1 a.m. So we're all having different times to play, and so if you mash as well the Europeans and the Oceanics, the English-speaking Europeans and the Oceanics together, then you've got people on 24 hours a day that can play, and that will help the Europeans lagging servers, the Oceanics that are still having problems with their not having anybody to play with. So another freebie for you, BioWare.
Oh yeah. Infinite freebies, fuckers.
Yeah. So I think it's a good idea.
But I did get on there, and it's currently listed as low pop. Of course, it's listed as beta. I actually went and checked on that because of the fact that one of our listeners had said that he had put his characters on there and was actually leveling before he found out that you could just have them put on there. And I was like, okay, well, let me check and see what I'd have to do the copies. And apparently, if you just log on to the fucking server, it loads up every one of your characters.
Wow. So if I log on, I can get a tune none and everything on there?
Everybody. Every fucking buddy. I was tempted to...
that's another good thing.
I'm really tempted to say that out of the 500 or 600 people that listen to us on a weekly basis, log on. Someone create a guild and make it noticeable. Make it our guild. You can be the owner of your own Sith Talk guild, for fuck's sake. Just give us a whisper on one of the names that we've told you we have, and we'll be happy to join. Because I see the high pop server becoming the future, and what was it? Kiwi was talking about how he wishes he could have his sniper. I personally, I was fucking gooing in my shorts because like, oh my god, it's Amelia Pond. I can fucking play on Amelia. This is gonna be awesome.
No, wait a minute though. I mean, you only get 6 characters you can make. Are they giving us more character slots?
Has 12 character slots. Sweet. Exactly. That's what fucking got me all excited. And I logged in. I'm like, oh my god, all 12 of my characters. Unfortunately, I had to rename like 5 of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay.
You know how long it takes? Yeah. You know how long it takes to come up with a name like I like on that type of server?
Well, no, I understand. Trust me. I mean, that's why I've kept Lanyard, and I'm guessing I might want to go to every server and make Lanyard, so that way if they mash them together, I can at least keep one Lanyard. Because I would hate to log in and then find out that I've got to change my name because somebody else from somewhere else came in. And same for that person. I would hate for that person to have to log in and go, the fuck,
like Hot Chocolate,
I got to change my name.
I had to change Hot Chocolate's name. I had to change Nolani's name to Leilani, which pissed me off because I love that name.
Leilani's pretty.
But Leilani worked out pretty well, and it has a decent definition or description, whatever. But I got onto that. I got onto PTS, and I will have to admit, and for me getting onto PTS, I wasn't really happy. There wasn't enough people for me to get into an op. Jesus Christ, I think he just added another video. Yeah, Trash 2 with Mini Voss. Good Lord, man.
I got Trash 4 up. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of trash in there, but, so Trash 4 is up, but I don't have Trash 3 and 2. If you can get a hold of him, since he's adding videos right now.
He's adding videos, it's crazy.
If he can add his audio, I can always edit it out, and I know you can. We can slip it in there.
But, trying to see if he's listed as being online for Skype. Fuck. But yeah, there's so many awesome things that were there. I really wish I could have found more.
Shit. Double shit.
Oh, what'd you do?
Nothing. Just opened up vent and it was like right over the top of my face. So sorry about that, people.
But there's so much shit that I wasn't happy with. They didn't have the 1.4 patch is not bringing the Cathar, which pissed me off. I thought that was going to be the patch that they were talking about. They were like, oh yeah, got to do PTS, going to be all this other shit, and it wasn't there. I wanted that, and it pisses me off that the Cathar weren't there. I went and checked out the gear because I'm like, I'm leveling Nolani, I'm leveling all these other characters.
Yeah.
I really want to be able to see what's coming, what's going to be awesome, and it pisses me off once again that stuff's not there. I don't know, man. Because I checked the gear vendors out. and the gear vendor is not that great. You know, the new gear that's coming out, it's the same basic gear for the next tier of PvE gear as it is for everything else, which pissed me off. It looks exactly the same. It's a repaint for the 150 gear as it was for the 140 gear, so it doesn't impress me. The PvP vendor, they're not issuing a new level of PvP gear.
Nope.
They're just issuing like weapons and trinkets for now. So either they're working on the design for the PvP gear, or they're just not going to put new PvP gear out, which doesn't really make a difference because there's only one new match. There's no new amount of levels that we have to get to, so that's not a big deal. But it does wear on me that the creativity that comes with the armor is kind of questionable. So, you know, that's the only thing that worries me currently. I just would have liked to see it a little bit more.
If you said you listened to Brutus's video that we're watching here.
Yeah.
At the end there, when they killed the main boss, they were like, "Okay, let's see what kind of fancy gear they got," and they're like, "The fuck? It's all Rakata. What? They already had that stuff, so they didn't even upgrade the stuff for the new thing. Now that could be just for the PTS that's just dropping Rakata because they don't want to give away what's coming new or whatever." Right. But when they turned in the mission, they got some fancy stuff. They got like, I don't know, 15 black hole comms or something like that, and some other things and some stuff that they didn't even know. What the hell is this? They kept going, well, what is that? What does that do? Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. So I don't know. As far as the Cathar again, it's not. We already said it's not coming out 1.4. It's probably going to be somewhere probably 1.6. You know, they got to work a lot of shit out. And then when I was running with Zuzu the other day, and I was doing a quest on Taurus, because I went back to Taurus to try to level up just to get some freaking experience points, and I was doing quests where you got to go out and just like kill Cathar, because they're like the Sith or the Imperials are trying to eradicate the Cathar from Taurus. So that gives me a good clue as to think that Cathar is not going to be an Empire race. It's going to be a Republic race, and then of course if you level it up as a Republic, you'll get to play it. Now hold on, because the reason why is because otherwise they're going to have to go through and change all those quests, all those missions.
Not necessarily.
Oh, you're going to be a Cathar on the Empire side? You come up and say, "Oh, I need you to go eradicate your people." It's not going to happen.
Well, no, but what about the mission where what is it? There's two separate missions where I know for a fact because I did it on Rakat, where you had to go into the base and actually set free Cathar prisoners and turn them against the Republic, because the Republic both, and I don't understand this, so excuse me if I sound stupid. But on the Republic side and the Imperial side, okay, I've been to I've been to the prison planet. I've been to Belsavis on both, and on both sides, they say the other faction's running a prison. Yeah. Don't ask me how in the fuck two different opposing fucking factions
are running
run a prison on the same planet, and they said we didn't know this prison was here.
Yeah, and then the other thing about that planet is it's supposed to be, we're on a PvP server, so it's supposed to be you've entered a PvP zone.
We're on two different. We start from two different sides.
We're not only do we start from two different sides, but the Imperials aren't even on that planet when you're on there. Republics aren't on the planet when you're on there. No, they're not.
Yes.
No, they are not. I will prove it to you.
Sudo and I ran right across through the junkyard area of that planet, because there's where the wrecked ship and shit is. We drove through there, and there was a level 50. Over there killing trash mobs for looking for loot or shit.
On Belsavis.
Yes.
Okay. I am mistaken. I take that back. It was Taurus that I'm thinking, with the rat ghouls.
Taurus is completely different time for.
They're all jungle, goofy, icky planets. But yeah.
But
my mistake.
But there was a mission that I did there on Rakat, and the mission was to go in and set down this former prince of the Cathar, and you were freeing him and his 5 men, and because they were against the Republic, and that's why they got put in that prison in the first place. But then, of course, you go on the Imperial side, and you also have a mission where you have to go in on Taurus and kill the leader of rebel Cathar.
Maybe
it's possible that's on both sides.
Maybe that's why they're having so much issues with the release, because if you've got both Republic and Imperial either trying to kill or trying to rescue, I mean, for instance, that one mission I just did with Zuzu, it's like, okay, I can understand going and saving my people, but now you want me to go just slaughter my people? That's not going to work. It's like, why would I do that? That's like, I mean, I don't think there's any Twi'lek, you don't go into the Twi'lek camp and slaughter the Twi'leks. And, I can't think of it.
No, on the I don't remember like an Imperial mission where you went in and killed Twi'leks.
Right.
But there's the chance to be a dick to Twi'leks on the starter planet for Jedi Knights and stuff.
Sure, you can be a dick to them.
Yeah.
But even if you're a Twi'lek, being a dick to them is one thing. But it being,
Yeah. I don't know. I was really hoping with the PTS that I'd get to see the body, the character models for the fucking Cathar.
You want the one with the big mane, don't you?
Well, I want to see what they're going to be able to put out there.
Yeah.
I want to see what they're going to do to make it different, because as we run through, whether we're Imperial or Republic, there's Cathar all over on different planets here and there, and there's a ton of different designs that we see. That's just like you and I had talked that my nephew wanted to be a Voss, wanted to be one of the Voss Ka, and I mean, if you can imagine logging in and expecting to be able to see all the face paints or all the facial designs, and with the Cathar, you've got different possibilities of hair colors, stripes, cheetah spots, what have you, and I was looking forward to that. Instead, I get in, there's like 16 people on the Imperial fleet, 15 people on the Republic fleet, and the best thing I can get is some spam about some asshole selling different colored, high-end crystals, which I don't need, because where the fuck am I going on the
right.
PTS? And exorbitant prices that asshole was selling shit. But on top of that, I get no new gear, or I get no new looking gear,
right?
Even though it's level 150. I don't get any new new PvP gear, which is okay, because going from Battle Master to War Hero is a pain in the ass anyway. Yeah. It really, I hate to say it, but it pissed me off.
Yeah.
And in the news section, I'll go over the 1.4 update patch update notes, and I'll even double check to see if there's any patch notes for this week. But I mean, I was trying to check out every server. I was really enjoying myself this week. Like I said, my big goal is trying to push Nolani to 50. Was trying to hang on the wife's coattails just to make sure that she had a chance to keep up with me. Unfortunately, Malachi is something like, what is Malachi now? 43, I want to say.
Okay.
So Malachi really not there, buddy. I am looking forward to the wife catching up to me. Of course, once I hit 50, she'll have plenty of time. But she's 47. I'll be off Tuesday. So Tuesday, I think I can nail those last 3 levels down. Saturday, I had a lot of real life stuff to handle. But other than that, I'm trying to crush it. I want to get it done.
Yeah.
Leonard, have you queued up Sudos portion yet? Have you got that squared away?
I'm gonna have to do it in transition. Yeah, because if I pull over to her screen, it gets rid of us, and then everybody's recording. And
all right, well,
so if we do Sudo, I can do it at the same time. So it's all good.
I'm done with my rant. I want to save a little bit of anger and confusion for the next section. So at this point, I'll go ahead and let Lanyard pull up Sudo and try to get that video and audio going for you.
Okay, there we go.
Hello everyone, this is Sudo, your Galactic Librarian, continuing with Chapter 3. You were discussing who should command this mission, Corson pressed, surprised at his own calm. What did you say when he said no? The commander's blood froze. He knew how things always went with Devore, how things must have gone. Sadao had rejected his half-brother, and Devore had said something. What? Not enough to offend Sadao, no. Devore was still here in the wreck, drawing labored breaths. But Sudos would have reason to suspect Devor's loyalty, would have cause to wonder whether his crystals were safe. The one thing Yaru Corson had was his reputation for playing it straight, but now, at a minimum, Sudos would now know that Corson was not the absolute master of his own vessel, and if he wasn't, Devor's hand shook and his lightsaber flew into it. The weapon that had killed Boyle Markham ignited in his hand. "What did I tell you?" Corson yelled, approaching him anyway. "No games on my ship!" Shaken, Devor darted back toward the bridge. Corson followed. "The only way we come out of this is if we're completely clean, Devor. Sudos can't think we did this on purpose." He reached the doorway. "No games on my ship." Corson walked into a hurricane. Devor stood atop the command chair, calling forth all the debris of the bridge like a deity on a mountaintop. Corson rolled, fragments of transparent steel raking his face and ripping into his uniform. Reaching Gloyd Station, he mounted his own defense, cocooning himself in the force against the onslaught. Devor was as strong as any in his family, and now he was riding chemicals Corson didn't understand. A beam slammed against the bulkhead, and Omen shivered. A second strike, and the bridge tipped forward, knocking Devor off his perch. Corson didn't let him get up again. The moment Devor's head appeared behind the chair, Corson force-flung him out through the ruined viewport. He had to get this outside before everything was lost. Corson bolted uphill through the hallway to the airlock, huffing as he did, fighting a space-crazed assailant on a teetering death trap. I must be the crazy one. The step down from the portal was now a leap. His boot sank into a soft patch as he hit, wrenching his ankle and sending him tumbling down the scree-covered slope. Biting his lip, he tried to clamber back from the brink toward Omen's crushed nose. A shadow was falling on him. He hit his lightsaber. Suddenly he saw it, or it saw him. Another winged creature, high over the near ridge, circling and watching him. Corson blinked, sand from his eyes as the creature soared away. It was the same as the one from the descent, almost. The difference was, thoom! Corson felt himself lifted into the air, and before he could register what was happening, he slammed into the wreck of Omen. Devor marched into view, pebbles rolling before him as if propelled by a magnet. Trapped against the crumbling frame, Corson struggled to stand. His father's familiar look was gone from Devor's face, replaced by a bleak nothingness. "It's over, Yaru," Devor said, raising his lightsaber high. "We should have done this before. It's been decided. I'm Commander Corson." "It's been decided." The thought flashed through Yaru Corson's mind even as the lightsaber flashed past his ear. It sparked against the Omen's battered armor. The commander raised his weapon to parry the next stroke, and the next, and the next. Devor hammered away, no style, just fury. Corson found nowhere to go, except along the side of the ship, sliding backward toward the port side torpedo tubes. 3 of the doors had been opened in the descent, the 4th. Corson spotted the control box, just like the one he'd remotely manipulated in the descent. He flexed toward it, through the force, and ducked. The firing pin activated, bulleting forward and, catching Devore in the lightsaber shoulder, the torpedo door tried to cycle open, but pinned against the ground, it only dug into the strata, sending a stream of rocks flooding beneath the ship. Omen lurched forward again, with Devore sliding in front of it toward the edge and the ocean below. It took a minute for Corson to get loose from the handhold he'd found on the ship, and another for the dust to clear. Finding Omen surprisingly still, he gingerly stepped away on the crushed slate. Omen's bow had impaled itself on a razor rise on the promontory just meters from the edge. Ahead of it, partially buried in rubble, lay his brother, his golden uniform shredded, his shoulder bloodied. Devore withered on the precipice. He tried to kneel, shrugging off the surrounding rocks, only to collapse again. Devore still gripped his lightsaber. How could he still be holding on to it, with the whole world falling down? Corson didn't know. The commander fastened his own lightsaber to his belt. "Yaru," Devore said. It was a whimper now. "Yaru, I can't see." His face was tear-stained but intact. Then his lightsaber rolled free, plummeting out of sight over the cliff's edge and revealing the oily pink stain on his hand. Red rage. That was what had been in the vials, Corson thought. That was what had given Devore his manic power, and that was what was stealing from him now. The shoulder wound wasn't bad, Corson saw, lifting his brother to his feet. Devore was young, with Sela tending to him. He might even survive out there, presuming he could live without the spice. But what then? What could be said that wasn't already said? It's been decided. A hopeful hold became a tighter grip, and Yaru Corson turned his brother to face the settling sun over the ocean. "I will complete my mission," he said, looking over the side to the ocean yawning far below, "and I will protect my crew." He let go. Okay, everyone, that's the end of Chapter 3. Next week, we'll start on Chapter 4.
All right, and that's another great episode from our girl Sudo, the Galactic Librarian. And, of course, at this point, you guys know we move straight into the news.
Here's your galactic news. Look what you missed while you were sleeping.
All right, and, of course, we said we had quite a bit of news here. This week, we pull from Darth Hader's promotion of the 1.4 patch notes. We're also going to cover a few items under the dev tracker, which I like to read from time to time, full of useful information. And of course, we have a piddly shit patch note that came through this week. So we got that to cover. I didn't find any extra outside news, unfortunately, and as you can tell, those YouTube viewers, of course, I thought that lanyard looked too cool, so I had to grab my set of shitty sunglasses off of one of my storage areas and go ahead and start wearing those. We had patch 1.3.8, and the whopping patch note for that is corrected an issue that caused significant performance drop for some players after 1.3.7. What that performance drop was, who knows? I've got a shitty video card, so I can't tell.
They added shadows. They improved the shadows. So
How
you've
did
actually
they were
but now you really see them.
I play with shadows off anyway. It's a frame rate dropper for people who have a low end video card, and to be perfectly honest, it's not all that fucking useful. doesn't tell you when someone just snuck up behind you and poked you in the butt, so it doesn't matter. As far as the patch notes go for 1.4, the Flashpoint Lost Island transgenetic sample 11's overall damage has been decreased in story mode. Project Sav Rock no longer spits rat gut in story mode. In story mode, Dr. Lorik no longer casts Satchel Charge, and Corrosive Smash's cooldown has been increased. If this is what I'm thinking it is, which is the original Lost Island, it was a fairly hard run. Some of these changes I don't know necessarily needed to be made. I think they're coordination issues. The rat gut, the rack rot, which is the damage over time effect that one of the guys flung at you, looked like poo when he was on the pipe. I guess that can be helpful for people who've never run it before. I don't know. It was a really big healing chore. I don't know if everyone feels that way, but that run is a bitch for healers. Additional items on there: Dr. Sim Low and Dr. Proxenixis are now easier to defeat, which is questionable. The LR5 Sentinel Droid's discharge now gives players a 4.5 second warning in story mode and a 3 second warning mode in hard mode before activating its ground effect. Players can now move the impending effect away from the group or tank. Plasma Arc no longer has an activation time and is executed while moving. The Incinerate is correctly marked as an area of effect damage. Now, I have to admit that Droid was pretty hardcore. Plasma Arc was actually something that you would like to be able to interrupt. The fact that they're not having an activation time on that means you're no longer interrupting that. Instead, you're going to have to focus on interrupting the Incinerate or removing the dot that it causes. In story mode, LR5 Sentinel Droids discharge ground effects have a longer duration before growing inside, which is which is decent, I guess. It's, at least as far as story mode goes. Story mode is supposed to be their easy or normal mode, and that effect does expand rather quickly on hard mode. And I've only run it on hard, so I don't know what story mode would be like. It says, and it is limited to 3 active effects at one time. Incinerate's damage has been reduced. Its overall its damage over time effect can be dispelled, which it could before if you were quick enough to grab it. And it is now only applied to its primary target instead of nearby targets, which is kind of retarded because they just said it was an area of effect item. So why wouldn't it be applied to people nearby?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It just sounds like a bunch of nerfing to me.
And it is. It's predominantly story mode nerfs, so that people who have never been in there can not learn anything that they're going to see in hard mode, which means that they'll go in decent gear on story mode, think they've got it, and then try to do it on hard mode.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, if story mode's supposed to be the beginner mode, then I guess that makes sense.
It's reasonable.
As long as they don't start nerfing hard mode and nerfing Nightmare, just so that it makes it that way it makes it feel like anything new that they make is hard.
Yeah. Well, Terror from Beyond is supposed to be something that is an evolutionary deal where the instance is actually supposed to learn from your techniques. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that works out for those who end up playing Terror from Beyond on Nightmare mode.
Yeah. It looks. I mean, just looking at it, it looks. Especially that final boss with the whole portal jumping. I'm like, how the hell do you even know where you're supposed to be going? But whatever.
Well, and experienced raiders or operations runners will recognize certain types of abilities or certain types of maneuvers from World of Warcraft. If you ran, what was that? That was I can't remember the raid now. It's been so long. There's several raids where One group would go through a portal and fight the mobs inside the portal, while the other group would stay inside and keep the
That was the one. Yeah, that was the dragon one. Yeah.
Oh, there was two.
There was a dragon one, and then
there was Malagos, and then there was another one that was introduced later in Awww.
Oh, see, I never got very far in Old War, so but I mean, every MMO is going to copy a little bit of something. I mean, it works. Play it.
And it's ideas that challenge and change your feeling. And some of the people, or most of the people that play Star Wars, as we've found out, were actually coming from the Star Wars universe or Star Wars Online, as opposed to the idea of some of us who came over because we're just MMO players.
Yeah.
Operation Terror from Beyond. During the Machine Core encounter, the correct lower number of regulators spawn following the orange phase. I will remind everyone at this point that we are reading the patch notes from 1.4, which is one that is due to change even more.
Yeah, it hasn't dropped quite yet. Yeah.
Under General, it says the visual effects for several interactable mission objects in the world now display correctly. This fix allows progression in some missions that were previously blocked by unusable mission objects. As far as world missions go, Ilum, Darkness of Ilum, players can now interact with heat control item in order to progress on this mission. Class missions, the Jedi Consular Shattering, the Natalia Grell can no longer be summoned before she is rescued during this mission.
It's helpful.
Sounds interesting. Under PvP, it says corrected an issue that caused the game to crash when accepting Warzone invitation, which is good that they fix it in the PTS as opposed to it get back into our main game and we have issues like we had previously, which, oddly enough, that was a previous issue after 1.3 was getting kicked after accepting a PvP invite. It also happened with LFG where you'd get kicked from get kicked from the game. Under Space Combat, it says engaging in missions in Hut Space Imperial and Core Ward Worlds, which is Republic, no longer causes the game to crash. So once again, less game crashing, I like. And my favorite zone, of course, miscellaneous bug fixes lowered the number of voracious trading droids on Korriban, which I didn't. I remember Korriban. I don't remember it being a big deal.
Voracious training droids.
I don't remember it being a big deal.
Korriban. Where are those?
They were all over. They were all over the place.
Okay.
I don't remember the problem. The character model now renders consistently when attempting to create a new character, which is something I never noticed a problem with. Which may, like I said, like we always say, when you introduce new programming into the old programming, shit's liable to poop.
Fucks it up. Yep.
And corrected some typographical errors. So apparently someone didn't hit spell check before putting some of the issues in there.
Yeah.
And that covers the 1.4 PTS test notes. Now, we talked about the high pop servers as a point of fact for part of my week. It's also part of what the game has launched. They're encouraging people to get into this one massive server for predominantly stress testing reasons. Which I think is funny because you think they would have stress tested the idea of a high pop server before we all condensed down to the servers that we're on, but whatever.
And it's also got to be pretty frustrating for the developers to say, we'd like to stress test this high pop, so everybody come in, and then you log in and there's 15 people on server.
Yeah, and honestly, the high pop server consistently was on low after they launched it, so I was kind of dumbfounded by that myself. I was like, oh, dude, I'm finally going to get to play with all my fans. That was my big thing, was like, well, okay, reasonably play with all my fans.
Right.
And once again, another chance to change the Wookiees Taste Like Chicken name in case we decide to. I'm thinking Wookiees taste like buffalo.
No.
Wookiees taste like Jawa.
No.
I shaved a Wookiee and I liked it. I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky enough and find a fantastic one-word guild name like we did with Boulder Dash. Wookiees.
Whoopies.
Boulder Dash.
Boulder Dash.
Maybe we can find a synonym for Boulder Dash. Find funny.
We'll just call another. That'll be good. I'd like that actually.
Check us out on Boulder Dash 1 or Boulder Dash 2 on the super high pop server. Anyway, so they've got some high pop tech bug and issue reports. Millions knives put in there. It appeared at the moment that it's possible for a person to have more characters than the maximum allowed slots after the transfer to the high pop server. So if they had 2 full servers going into one, then they would have 16 instead of 12 characters. If this is true, then it seems very fair for people who have already on the destination server, which is a questionable idea, already have them on the destination server and only really played on one server. I would appreciate the ability to use 16 slots as well. Also, when you say that in order to create a new character, they will need to free up one of the slots, do you mean that they will have to delete characters until under the maximum, or that they will only have to delete one character? So again, using the 16 over 12 characters, would they have to delete one of or 5 in order to create a new one? Now, Jovith Gonzalez is the one fielding 90%, I believe, all of these items. So, Jovith says, you will be able to use all character slots, but you will only be able to create a new character slots if you have an open slot available via manual deletion. So if you have too many characters, if you have a ass load of characters and you're going to go to the high pop server, the maximum number that they have on there is the maximum you're going to get.
Yeah.
Which I find respectable. I can't imagine having 8 different characters unless you're playing on a dozen different servers. Even to me, that just sounds ridiculous. I have enough trouble keeping up with the 7 that I have on my current server.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Gizmo here. Gizmo, God, I got to tell you that story one day. But Gizmo says, just make sure not to consolidate RP servers with PvE servers or PvP servers, but they should remain separate. I fear that you don't care about RP anymore at all, judging from the complete lack of response on the threads about RP features like chat bubbles and others, while you keep responding to PvP and PvE topics all the time. And are trying to phase out RP? Are you trying to phase out RP servers and RP from the game? RP from this game is good. Please do not do that. Keep RP servers alive. Also, don't consolidate European with U.S. servers.
No, you've
Us
got to.
Europeans like the low ping as well. And of course, Jovith says, rest assured that no such consolidation plans are currently in the works. Which means they're not consolidating RP with any of the other servers that wouldn't be RP related. And so far, they're assuming that the European and U.S. servers aren't going to merge. Let's see. I mean, me, honestly, guys, I understand you like your low ping. I would like lower ping. And I'm on the central, so I'd love a central server just for me, so I could have low ping. It's not gonna fucking happen.
Me and my 20 fucking people that play.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I understand you and I we're continental, so from one side to the other, the ping's not going to be horrible. Yeah. Presumably, if you're using a European or an Asian Pacific server, you're now talking about a wireless ping that has to hit the server instead of a wired ping. So I could see how that would jump their service up something serious. But I also don't see necessarily all European servers coming over to U.S. servers, because the idea of community in the game and outside the game is what builds MMOs. In my area, I'm always talking to people who play MMOs. I know. I heard you the other day on Vent. Yeah. You were talking to your neighbor about the games that you guys play. And I would assume that's the same for every area. Yeah. Whether you're down getting, some tea and crumpets or whatever the fuck that you guys eat in Europe, I don't know, biscuits and beer, fish and chips, fucking no. Here it's probably beer and burgers, or steak and
Vegemites and Fosters. Well, they don't drink Fosters down there, but Vegemite.
Well, Vegemite and Foster's might work out in Aussie land. That's
But not so much
as,
Foster's. I've been told that that's kind of like that'd be like Keystone over here.
ooh.
So we like Foster's over here, but for them it's shit beer. So we get the crap, of course. Which is funny. Just I mean, if you think about it, that's how a lot of we end up with Mercedes, and we think the Mercedes are the best fucking cars, and they're just like they're like Volkswagens over there. I mean, everybody's got them, you know. So it's like we think they're cool foreign luxury cars over there. It's just the everyday's car.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean, they're driving Fiestas and thinking, "Wow, this is awesome."
All right, let's get off of that topic. Wow, Yurndris said, Jovith, does this mean that European and Asian Pacific servers will be consolidated as well? If this is the case, will ping times still be low as they are in our region servers at the moment? We do not consider. We won't be considering. We won't be consolidating different regions with different regions. If that is what you are asking. So once again, reaffirmation of the idea that in your region, you're going to stay wherever you are. What that then means, of course, is that us in the U.S., we're looking at a situation where the Pacific and the Eastern servers are coming together, which for you and I really does work out really well because, you know, if you're on late night Pacific servers, you got people to play with. When they go to the high pop servers. For me, that means my late night gaming, fuck yeah, I'm able to play with people on the West Coast and the server never dies for me. You know, we do end up looking at a situation where we have 3 or 4 instances of the world servers, each one we're on, but it also means that the community as a whole feels vibrant day long, no matter what your mode. You know, whether you're one of those guys who gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and fucking jams ass until 3 and then goes to work, or if you're like me, you're getting off of work at midnight, you're getting home, you're rushing home, you're like, oh man, I can't wait to play, and then none of your buddies are on. Now, boom, everybody's fucking on all day long. You know, whether you're on the West Coast and you're like, man, I wish I could be playing Boulder Dash. Now you could be. If you're like, man, I'm on the imp side, I wish I could be a Wookiee. By God, you could be, and I like the sound of that. It sounds to me like I wish this was an idea that they had done from launch because I don't like the separation of East and West Coast. I don't give a shit about rap battles. I'm looking at the idea that if you're in the U.S., you should be on a U.S. server. The Asian Pacifics, the Europeans, they all get lumped onto one server. Why shouldn't we be the same way? Yeah. You know. Regardless of where the server base is, almost all the time our game is coming out of California anyway, or Texas anyway. California. So why not just have it set up that way? You know, to where all of us either ping off of that server or pull a Google, drop servers here and there, and that way it's just a relay server that increases our ping. Let's see, two or three more notes here. Let's see, it says Beyl, B-E-Y-L, says, if this occurs, will players have to change their names yet again? I heard legacy names are not going to be unique anymore, but will character names be screwed again? Or will you actually make a character's name be tied to both the first and legacy character name, their first and legacy character name? This would actually be more ideal because I know for damn sure if I have to rename all of my characters again, it will severely ruin what little faith I have left in BioWare. I'm not sure many others who had to transfer feel the same way. Now, I will say personally, as I talked about earlier, changing my characters like Hot Chocolate to something similar to Hot Chocolate, or my wife's characters that have like Malachi and shit like that. It does. As you're building a character, it's a part of you. It's a part of your game experience. So yes, changing character names sucks balls. If you have what you think is something unique, like I thought Nolani was just fucking epic. Changing Nolani from Leilani hurts only so much as I really enjoyed the idea that her name meant Rain of Heaven or Mists of Heaven. As far as changing it to Leilani's still just as pretty a name as Nolani was, so I'm still fine with that. Now, there were some characters like Amelia Pond, but oddly enough, not Boot, not Naga, not Rakat, I had to change Gazzini's name. You know, Gazzini's a name that I brought from several other games, and it kind of upset me to have to change that. I did eventually find a name that was fucking ridiculous, but I used anyway. That Mamarua or whatever one I created at the level 1 last week, that name had to be changed. Who the fuck else chose that kind of retarded ass name? I mean, I choose wacky names because I think I normally get them from a baby name site, so I want to see some cool names. I want to see some stuff that really, really represents what I intend on that character to be. And if you, like in your case, were Lanyard or Mayo, or your legacy name that shall not be repeated on the show.
The name that shall not be named.
Yeah, the name that shall not be named. Not the no-name legacy like Vortex.
Vortex.
But, you know, it's a name it really means a lot to you. Unfortunately, you know, you're gonna have to rename, guys. Even Jovid says on here, when we consolidate servers, some of your character names may need to be renamed due to naming conflicts with other players. There are a variety of factors that will be accounted for to determine which character needs to be renamed. How
about the person that had the name longer keeps it?
I don't know. You know,
seniority.
I don't know if the keeping it longer thing matters, because how many accounts have been around since beta, okay, or you know, who got early launch and don't play. There's lots of people that, you know, they got into the beta, they were in pre-launch. Now those names are locked down for fucking ever. They haven't logged in 6 months. You know, and fair enough to, you know, Val there. You know, it's not that BioWare can go, okay, well, we're going to free up this name and this name and this name, because there's so much other shit with the reduced workforce that they have. They can't afford to go and cross-reference all this shit. Yeah. So they're going to take the name that had it first, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Will it frustrate you? Fuck yeah, it will. Will it frustrate Kevin? Fuck yeah, it will. Will it frustrate me? It already did.
Yep. I guarantee if I lose Lanyard, I'm going to have a fucking fit. So what I'm going to do after this podcast is I'm going to go on and I'm going to fucking make Lanyard on everyone.
You won't have to. Yeah. I mean, unless somebody else chose Lanyard as a name. I mean, you know, like I said, Rakat didn't have to be changed. Naga Jalokia didn't. Boot Jalokia didn't. But Hot Chocolate did.
Yeah.
You know, and of course someone else might have chosen Hot Chocolate. Maybe they heard the podcast. Oh, that's a fucking cool name. I don't know. You know, and like the one guy who ran into me in PvP, he saw my name was Nolani, and he was asking if I was an Islander.
Right.
Maybe there are Islanders that, you know, there are going to be Islanders that play. So there's going to be a lot of Hawaiian-based names that are going to be, you know, possibly changing, especially if you're a mainlander and, you know, an Islander had already had that name since beta. You're shit out of luck. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the only massive issue I see with that, I'm using massive quotation marks. Here we go. Let's try to make them both fit. Massive quotation marks. The only massive issue I can imagine is the idea that, like, when you're going in and doing getting in there and doing your names, you know, God forbid your character's 50 and you're on a bunch of friends lists, because this was the major faux pas from the last server condensation, was the fact that your friends list got fucked because all of these names changed, or your guild got fucked because your guild couldn't transfer as a whole. That's where I see a major issue.
Yeah.
And that would be a more important thing, but I won't even bother fucking posting it. I'll leave it to you guys to post it because they don't fucking like to answer me. But, you know, that's the big thing. You know, when we're doing these server transfers, how many times do you really think, you know, people are going to suffer through the idea of going, hey, I'm looking for Bob Nutsmacker. Are you Bob Nutsmacker? Does anybody know Bob Nutsmacker? I was on this server.
Right.
Are you him?
Well, then they go, yeah, I'm Bob Nutsmacker. Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
So it's not the same guy. It's the guy that got to keep the name.
Yeah, once again, what I will say is if you want to be intelligent about it, dude, if you're in a guild, make sure your buddies are in vent.
Hello, or at least...
Like, hey, man, I'm pissed I had to change my name.
There's so much social networking. Make sure you have them on Twitter. Make sure you have them on Facebook. Whatever you use that's not in-game, keep a fucking list of your friends.
Start a guild group page. On Facebook, it's totally...
We got one, and we have a Facebook page. I've got the Sith Talk website I put on
Engine,
and I hadn't checked it in forever because it was just kind of like dead. I was like, okay, fuck it, we're not going to deal with it. And then I checked my email and I was like, holy shit, there's a bunch of people that. I need to go back through there and update that. That was something I wanted to mention, that I we'll have to get back on there. So if you've sent an invite for it, I'll get going on it. I slacked off on it because basically it just didn't seem like there was getting any response for it. So yeah. Since I've got the floor right now, I wanted to say on Balderdash, since we were doing so much on PvP, all the people that play or want to play PvP, because that's pretty much what we do on Balderdash, is just PvP. If you have a tune that you want to bring over for PvP on Balderdash, it's just basically only PvP. Go ahead and send it over. Just remember, we're best at PvP if we have you invent. Yeah. Because if you're not invent, we don't chat. I mean, I see the green pop up from guild, and I have to look at it for a second because like, oh shit, if you're not invent, we don't know. That's just all there is to it. We don't even know you're on guild or anything. It didn't happen until we happen to know. Transfer was on the other day for like a couple hours. I didn't even know it because he doesn't get into vent. So if you have,
I think it's an obligation, but we're
no, it's not an obligation.
And if we're going to PvP together,
right?
Or if you're, like he says, if you're a big PvP dude, then man, fucking get in vent. That way we can group up. I absolutely love it. It doesn't matter which side it happens on, whether it's our Sith side or our Imperial side or our pub side. I would absolutely love to get a guild group to start rolling some ranked.
Some ranked, yeah.
Yeah, at 50, man. Because I mean, even if you start up in your fucking recruit gear, we can rickroll some bitches. I'm looking forward to hitting 50, just so the four of us at the very least can start rickrolling motherfuckers at 50.
I'm looking forward for you guys to hit 50 too. Sweeza's getting bored.
Yeah, and boring. I'm going to cover 2 more notes, and then we'll get to the general shooting of the shit as we do throughout the podcast, and that seems to be our keynote speech there. Brian Davin says, true, but what I'm worried about you guys moving all the existing servers to high pop servers and having people having trouble with names. Holy shit, I just covered this because they're all taken. Looking ahead to free to play. On my part, that's all. And Jovith once again says, everyone that transferred to a destination server will remain on the same servers, just with new high pop tech. So it looks like we may not have to condense. We may condense. We don't know. It says we are going to be consolidating the remaining origin characters onto the current destination servers with new high population tech. Does that make sense to you? No. And of course, he puts a secondary note on here. Actually, I want to make a bit of clarification. This is actually not the case for all current destination servers. While any remaining characters on the origin servers will be consolidated on the high population destination servers, we will be identifying additional servers for consolidation onto high pop destination servers. Stay tuned for information. So that's something we'll have to cover at a later date.
Okay.
But, guys, in all honesty, like, I do have to admit, I love PvP on Nolani, but I love PvP on a tank. And I can't wait to hit 50. I really am not looking forward to that nasty, ugly fucking starter PvP set. I'm trying to save up enough Warzone comms that when I hit 50, I can start buying my Battlemaster gear on her. I look forward to PvPing immensely on her. I would love to get enough people in the guild that are all 50, whether Jubu gets there, whether Adelaide's is there. I think Adelaide's was closer than Jubu was. Jubu was around 28, I think, or maybe Jubu was the one that was 45. But Jubu is Aussie side, so his time scale is kind of janky in comparison to our gameplay all the time.
Oh, I know.
Which, is unfortunate. But I would like to see...
Not really. Not for you, because he should be on. If he logs in at, let's say he has a regular work day, and he logs in shortly after he gets home from work, that's about the same time you log in.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, I PvP. I have PvP'd almost exclusively on every one of my characters as I get done with my class quests, and I will sit on fleet, and I don't give a shit who wants to bitch about it, who wants to make fun of me about it. I have almost exclusively PvP'd on every one of my characters. Every one of them has used the legacy perks so that every one of them is almost maxed out on PvP XP, which is part of why I level the way I level and how I level so quickly. But it also has given me a chance to have some of the most frustrating, yet some of the most relaxing days. There has been times where we have just waffle stomped motherfuckers from one point to the other, whether I was on my Imperial side or my Republic side. And it's just a ton of fun. You know, I talk to so many people and they talk about PvP systems in other games, and regardless of what game it is, a lot of games are starting to adapt the idea that from 1 to max level, or from, you know, say 10 to max level, everybody's brought into the match, whether they're noted as having it or not. They may be a lower level, but they get all their ranks, or all of their abilities and all of their stats pushed up to max level. That's something that Star Wars started that I didn't see in any other game, and now is becoming prevalent as games are releasing. Even the newest Guild Wars does the same, something similar to that effect. You know, and that it makes it fun, man. And it doesn't matter the amount of spells you have. I've watched Kiwi go from 150k to 250k damage as a DPS in PvP, and you know, literally, he's only been going from low level, and you know, he's been PvPing since 10, and to see that he can put out that kind of damage, it's 100% ability and or 90% ability, 10% skills. Because if your character doesn't have all the skills, it's going to be small detriment to your overall output. You know, and we PvP a lot with Boulder Dash. Every weekend that the 3 or 4 of us can get together, we all group up, and you know, we might be out missioning, but we're actually in PvP queue waiting for the next queue to pop. We always work together as a team, and you know, if you have a group and you PvP with them a lot, but you guys aren't in Vent, you're missing out. And I don't care who you are. If you want to be a part of Boulder Dash, or if we get bored and go back to Wookiees, regardless, if you want to be a part of the guilds, if you want to be a part of the shows, if you want to be a fan and talk to us on a regular basis, do like Kiwi does, do like some of our other buddies do. Jump in, get into our guild. That way you can get the guild vent info. Then get in vent, shoot the shit with us. You'll hear shit that you will never hear anywhere else. I guarantee some of the conversations we have will blow your mind.
We have people that jump in our event on a regular basis that don't even play Star Wars anymore, because they're just good friends of ours. There's a couple of people that still play WoW, and they jump in a lot. Kevin's playing whatever Kevin's playing.
Kevin's playing a little bit of WoW, and he's playing a little bit of Guild Wars.
Okay.
He's excited for the Pandarian expansion. And he's playing Guild Wars, so he's balancing the books between those. He's looking forward to getting back into Star Wars. He's just got to wait for free to play because of financial issues.
Right.
Myself, I'm not going back to WoW. I watch my nephew play Guild Wars. I have no interest. Yeah. I'm dedicated to Star Wars. It's not the podcast. It's everything. Yeah. I love playing my characters. I haven't had an experience anywhere as exclusively enjoyable as I have in Star Wars. That's not blowing BioWare's balls. That's me as a gamer saying, holy fuck. Because you go into these other games and you play with conventional weapons. You don't get to use the stuff that I get to use on my characters. I don't feel the excitement that I get using, as I do with Charge on my Republic Trooper, or Force Leap on my Juggernaut, as I did using things like, Death Grip on my Death Knight in PvP. I don't get that effect. Yeah. I still find that when I see the load screen, I'm enticed to read it because my name is in the load screen. I don't care what the naysayers or the people who have left Star Wars has said. I've enjoyed it from day one. Day one as a non-Star Wars fan. Day fucking one of the betas. I've lived through all the experiences. I've lived through the expansions. I've lived through the growing, the shrinking, the regrowth, the reshrink, and it's all been fun. I mean, I've watched Lanyard, and Lanyard was beasting getting his bounty hunter leveled up. He was kicking ass when he was getting his marauder leveled up. But I hadn't seen the lights really turn on until he got back on Suiza and was able to finish the Republic too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Suiza a lot. I still really enjoy Squeeze. I'm just playing with my other tunes now, waiting for you guys to catch up. And I know it's Sith talk, but I'm sorry, my Trooper is my fave right now. Suiza and Lanyard are my two faves right now. So,
and I mean, I absolutely love Rakat. I go out and do dailies on Rakat every time we get a chance to run a hard mode. I jump on Rakat. I haven't jumped on Naga as much because, you know, I haven't found time to run enough instances to get her gear where I want it to be. Granted, she has a full PvP set, and she has a full PvE set. So whether it's my Battlemaster gear or I throw on my Kalomi and Taiwanese gear, you know, she's got gear. I just don't, you know, but I jump on Rakat all the time, and I jump on the Mirrored class, which is Nolani, and I have a blast. I PvP like crazy on Nolani. I PvE like crazy on Rakat, and you know, if you're listening to the podcast and you're like, man, I haven't played Star Wars in forever, I just don't know if I can do it. You know, jump back in game. If you don't think that your buddies are playing, that's fine. Come and play with us. I rack up, and Jubu thought it was hilarious. I rack up on average 20 to 30 hours a week. That's with a full-time job, and that's that's across all of my characters. That's across the mini servers that I play on. I average 25 to 30 hours a week with a full-time job, family, groceries, and real-life obligations. And I know a lot of people out there have them. I talk to people all the time. I love playing Star Wars. I pop in an audiobook, I jump in Vent, and then I log into Star Wars. And I disappear into the world. It makes me so happy. And it doesn't matter. I was talking about my week. You know, last week, a couple of weeks ago, you talked about going to trial with your trooper and how you shot the guy to shut him up. I shut him up legally. I did it the good guy way, and my girl was better for it. That guy was an ugly shit of a Sith anyway.
Whatever.
But it's, you know, I turn on my sound and I listen to every piece of story mode. I may not do world missions. I may go back and do those for a completion issue, a completionist type of deal. But every day I get in, man, I have a ton of fun. And I would like to say some of the people that I'm meeting. Oh, hey, a new timer. Holy shit, that scared me.
Sorry.
Well, I'll ramble on for just a couple more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up here.
We're okay. We're running a little long, but that's all right.
But I mean, you know, there's nothing about Star Wars. I mean, like I said, I'm having my video crashes. I blame that on the shit on board video card. You know, I don't see so much hecticness that I see coming from the people in game. You know what I mean? We got LFG. LFG in 1.4 is going to be augmented to drop people back where they came from, which was one of your major points of contention.
That's going to be nice. Another thing that I noticed with the LFG, you know how they fixed the thing where you're not it doesn't default your queue. However, it does, and I need to send a bug in. They might have fixed it. But if let's say you're in the queue and it pops and it says, okay, I'm ready. The next guy's ready. The next guy's ready. And the tank says, fuck it, I'm not doing this. And you pop out of queue and then you're instantly put back into another group.
Yeah.
And it pops up. Double check because it'll throw me as a healer. It'll reset. It'll default
your role in between.
Yeah. So if it pops you out and it waits and it puts you in queue again and it takes a little time and then you come in, then everything's reset. But it's like if it does instantly, it's like it doesn't have enough time to realize that it's not supposed to put you at default. So I've had that happen, and I go, oh, cool, instant pop, and I notice, oh, fuck, I'm a heal, so I got to decline, you know, and then reset everything. Yeah. So be careful when you're loading that. That's still a bug issue that they need, one of the many bugs that they got to fix up. There was something else in the new 1.4. You were saying something, oh, it can put you back back. You'll have, well, it's not going to just put you back where you were. You're going to have the option of getting put back where you were. So you have the option of being put back where you were, or go to
your fleet or whatnot,
or fleet or Ilum or wherever, and then turn in your stuff. So that's nice.
And I was thinking about it now at lower levels where the mission consoles are there. It is nice that you can be at fleet, but when you start getting up in Colicoid Wars and Red Reaper and stuff that you don't have a follow through on, it makes no sense to not get pushed back to your planet. The one thing I would really like to see them do. I'm glad they're looking at the idea of high pop servers so that they can merge the remaining servers so that we can all feel the world is more populated all day long. I would rather see, or I would like to see, in addition to that, some way to reduce the load times on planets.
Yeah.
Because now, and like I said, I'm playing on the onboard video card, okay?
Right.
But what was it? Kiwi and I were queued for PvP, and as soon as I went to land on Corellia last night, the queue popped.
And then you lost it because you were waiting to get on Corellia.
It took a full minute to load.
Yeah, I'm having the same problem, and I have an NVIDIA. I think it's just server issue. Server issue, because it still takes forever to load on Corellia. It's taking longer to load onto Tatooine, and there's never anybody on Tatooine.
But,
so if they could shorten that load time to get on a planet, that would be nice. I don't know how it works, but if they could do that, that would be nice.
And I mean, my big thing is, and I've said this before, as far as the load time goes, we do have to make exception for the fact that everything you encounter from the point that you set foot on the planet is there.
Yeah.
You're running through everything. I would almost say I would suffer slight lag issues going into instances or class-based zones or group zones, like a slight load issue. Or a quick, like a 10-second difference between the point you hit the door and shit starts spawning. If I could just cut that out or reduce it by half, there's no reason on my side, the computer side, that it should take me over a minute. Let's face it, we're all gamers here. We know that load times mean boredom, and that's something that does throw people off. I know that when we played WoW, that when you went into an instance in and of itself, you had a load time for the instance, but that was an instance. The rest of the world, you pretty much ran all the way through, and there was somewhat of a smooth transition in between zones. So nothing major unless you were going through like the Dark Portal or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. But
even
to have a load to get to a space station and then have a slightly lower load or load time going to the actual planet is kind of weird. And I missed a queue pop because it took a minute to load that shit. Hopefully when I get my video card back, it won't be a minute again. It'll be back down to like 20 seconds. But I really wish they would work on that. It's been a complaint registered since the beginning of the game. It's been one of the more off-putting things for the ADD generation who's used to instant satisfaction.
Yeah.
No one's blowing into a cartridge and hoping for a game to load anymore. Yeah. Every one of us is expecting instant, and that's something I will hope that by the point that they implement these high pop servers, that's what happens. And still little to no information about the remaining portions of free to play. Hopefully they'll have some more in the future. Oh man, guys, fucking great! I'm really happy. I think I got everything out that I wanted to say. I want to thank you guys for continually supporting us here at Sith Talk. If you have any questions, comments, hit us up at sithtalk@gmail.com. I would really love to see us get to 30 reviews on iTunes. So if you're listening to us through iTunes, please feel free to hop over there. If you do have an iTunes account and haven't subscribed to us through there, make life a little easier. Update your iTunes account and drop us a review, 4 or 5 stars. 5 stars preferable, please. But whatever you can do. Otherwise, man, we thank you again for being a part of Sith Talk. This is Lanyard and Dedekar saying, see you in the pit. Hey.
Thank you again for joining us here on Sith Talk. Lanyard and Dedekar look forward to talking with you next week. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Sith Talk, or stop by our Facebook page at facebook.com/Sith Talk. And of course, our Gmail is sithtalk@gmail.com. This music brought to you by freeplay.com. And remember, peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion I gain strength. Through strength I gain power. Through power I gain victory. Through victory my chains are broken. The Force shall free me.
I thought we'd had it, Chancellor.
Sad face.
That Trandoshan might as well have been made of Durasteel. And that Hypergate just kept spewing machines and beasties.
Excuse me, Major. Machines? Beasties? Perhaps you're not quite recovered from your exertions in the field.
Here's your hand-picked squad now. Maybe they can explain it better than I can.
Welcome. I hear you're to be congratulated. Kefis is dead, the Hypergate is closed, and our Gree allies on Assation are safe.
Once you've been around the galaxy a few times, you learn how to handle the unexpected.
We've been in contact with Gatemaster Beltec. He's very grateful for your assistance and wants to present you with a reward of sorts.
Time to bring out some of that sweet, sweet Gree technology.
I'm not sure how material a reward they have in mind.
Chiligakia, Karadachia, Chogi no Chingi. Build him, Bicheshana, Shadalaza, Cheler Dorug. Sidi enemy, Chuge, Carmen Ergam Chonam.
I'm sorry, Gatemaster. I'm not sure what that means, or how I should feel.
Ulundus, Dustaza, Toitu Belin, Belinize. Courage Churem, Kuliamit, Shirgelaza. Oi, Tidakade, Turin Volgash Ergenchonum.
You should be honored. It doesn't translate well, but Gatemaster Beltec just gave you the highest title in Gree society.
Will the Gree be able to protect Assation on their own?
We won't leave the Gree to fend for themselves. We're allies for life now. That was the Republic's reward.
As long as we're handing out rewards, here's mine. Me and my boys never would have survived Assation if you hadn't shown up. Thanks.
The Republic is in your debt as well. We may never know why Kefis opened the Hypergate, or what the Dreadmasters were planning, but you stopped them here. Wherever the Dreadmasters may strike next, I hope we can call on you again. Until then, safe travels.